All right, hey there. So I'm going to show you how you can use Photoshop to give yourself some practice kind of judging value and how it relates to color. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is we're going to get our layers palette out, throw another layer on, and then I'll take the rectangle tool and just drag out a rectangle. Now with the selection tool, I am going to press Option, hold that down, and drag out a few more. All right, let's take all of those together. And then what we're going to do is drag that across. So now we have like 2 rows of rectangles, and that looks good. So now we have to go over to our layer palette. Okay, we want to select everything. So let's say we're going to select from that one all the way up. Now we're just going to kind of right click on those selected layers and just scroll down to rasterize layers. So now everything should be rasterized. All right, so moving back over here, let me put this layer away. Let's see. Okay. So now what I want to do is I just want to select one of those rectangles. Okay, so let me deselect everything and then just with that selection tool, just grab just one of them. And then I'm going to take out my color palette over here. And I would like to see, oh, I don't know, maybe let's do a color wheel. Okay, so we'll just choose any color that you want from there. And then you can just click the paint bucket tool, and then run HSB. Okay, so with that red selected, you can just click on that rectangle. And our goal is just to take all of the rectangles on the left-hand side, and we're just going to turn those into colorful swatches. So again, just select each rectangle, pick your color any place on the slider that you want or any color wheel that you're looking at, and then just dump it into that rasterized rectangle with your paint bucket tool, which the keyboard shortcut for that is G. So you can just hit G on your keyboard and that should do it. So we'll just take like any bright saturated color. I think it's harder with bright saturated colors than it is with grayed out colors, obviously. So we should try those. Let's do our brightest and a full saturation, maybe something like a really light green blue. And we'll drop that in. And now what we want to do is take our color picker and we want to get rid of this color wheel. We want to go to the grayscale slider. Okay, this, I can make that a little bit smaller just so we can see. And now I have all the grayscale color that I need, and I'm just going to select this first rectangle right here. And then I'm going to try and match the value. So I'm just kind of guessing at first. This is a pretty wild guess at first. But unfortunately, the one little catch here is that you should not use your paint bucket tool for this step. For this step, we're going to need a brush. The paint bucket tool I have found, and I think this is super frustrating, but you cannot depend on it to be an accurate value. So when you go to dump it in, it will actually change its reading the next time you go to sample it. So we're going to use a brush, and that brush is going to be a little bit more accurate. The one thing I did forget to do though is we need to come over here, select each and every one of these layers, and then we're just going to lock that transparency. So we'll come back over, okay, and we will select just the one layer. And now we can take our color slider, get to that gray value that we think we want. Take a really big brush because we're just basically filling in the entire thing. That's probably a little bit too dark, but red is a much darker color than we normally would see it as. We just kind of see it as a little lighter than it is because it is so saturated. So I want to make sure I get that dark enough. Let's leave it there. Next rectangle, we'll just go ahead and select this rectangle below, and that green should go a little bit lighter. So I'll just go back to my brush, kind of guessing, seeing what that green looks like. That actually looks pretty good to me, maybe a little bit on the light side. So I'm gonna go just a touch darker, and you just want to keep squinting your eyes and comparing and seeing if you can tell the difference in value. And then we're going to have Photoshop check it for us when we're done. So it's kind of a cool exercise to see, and hopefully it helps you kind of get used to it, value, and be able to translate color into value. All right, so let's try that one. And then our last one over here, I'm just going to go just on that last rectangle, take our color that's definitely a little bit lighter. All right, so just take your time, kind of squint your eyes, check. And then when you think you're ready to go, just go up to image, the image menu right at the top of the screen, and then down to mode, and then over to grayscale. And we're just gonna flatten this whole thing, discard all the color information, and boom. So that changed it into color, from color into black and white. And now when we wanna see how accurate we were, we can take our eyedropper tool, and we can click on one color that was a 60% gray. We can read on that slider, and then that's a 60% gray. I guessed pretty accurately there. I can see I was too dark here, but let's see by how much. 25% gray there. We have a 38, so that was kind of off. This one I was a little bit too light, but not as far off as the other. So obviously I did not nail each and every one of these. I'm pretty surprised I got the exact right number for the first one, but it's a fun exercise. There's a lot of steps to set it up, but you can follow through this, and hopefully that helps a little bit.